Welcome back to Messiah, an Introduction to a Complicated Jewish Topic. This is Rabbi Juan Marcos Bejarano Gutierrez. This is episode 9. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to have to speed through this. I realized that I had recorded the entire thing, and I had recorded it without volume. So I'm a consummate professional, but I did want to make sure to get this video done. I know it's been a while since I have worked on some videos, and I'm excited to continue our study. For those of you who have not joined us in the past, please watch episode 1. That's really the foundation. It lays out the philosophy of the course. This is an academic approach. I'm interested in the history, the text, and what they mean. This isn't polemical. It's not apologetical. We're here to learn. We're here to study. And we're here to learn about a very fascinating and complicated Jewish topic. Let me go ahead and start off with the recommended title page. I think it's something that's helpful for everybody. You can look at episode 1, and you can look at my background if you're interested in my educational studies. You can look at episode 1 for the academic approach, just a review of what philosophy we are espousing. And then the recommended title for today is The Doctrine of the Messiah in Medieval Jewish Literature by Joseph Sarachek. He's the author of a work, The History of the Anti-Maimonidean Controversy. It's a fascinating topic if you're interested in the controversy that Maimonides spurred by his writing of Moreh Nevuchim, the Guide to the Perplexed, and the response of many rabbis, especially in France, and their actions to go against Maimonides' perspectives. So anyways, that's a fascinating topic. I don't want to get too far off track since we're trying to go through this material, but check that out if you have the chance. One of the things I want to lay out for those of you who have not joined us previously is that what we started with in the first six episodes was a review of all of the passages in the Tanakh which use the term Mashiach or a grammatical derivative. And so the first thing that we did is we highlighted the fact that Mashiach is a Hebrew word derived from the root mashach, to anoint or anointed one. It appears about 40 times, as I mentioned, in the Hebrew Bible, and we have gone through every single verse in the Tanakh that refers to anointed ones, whether they be high priest, kings, prophets. And in the book of Daniel, we also looked at the occurrence of a Nasi, of a prince, designated as an anointed one, as a Mashiach. So what we've been doing for the last couple of episodes is that we've transitioned into other passages in the Tanakh that are considered messianic. Why are they considered messianic? Well, the basis of the text that I have selected is, first of all, the fact that I'm using Raphael Patai's The Messiah text as the basis for the text that we're going to include. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that a lot of these texts, in the prophets in particular, are designated as messianic in the Targumic translations. In the Targumim, Targum Pseudo-Jonathan, Targum Onkelos, Targum Neophiti, etc., a lot of these passages are interpreted messianically by those texts. Now, those texts are from a much later period, and when we get to that section of literature in the late Second Temple period, or even in the post-Temple period, we'll talk about some of the ideas regarding the time frame in which these were written. But because those texts in part designate these as messianic and often insert the term Messiah, that's part of the reason that these texts are considered messianics. And so we started with a passage from Jeremiah, and then I think the last episode we looked at a passage in Isaiah. And this week we are continuing with a review of the book of Isaiah. Now, I think I've just noticed something, that the screen is a little bit offset, so I apologize if you're not able to see everything, but I don't know how to adjust that, so I'll continue. So one thing I wanted to mention was that we started with Jeremiah because this is the way that Raphael Patai had it laid out. But Jeremiah the prophet actually is after Isaiah the prophet. So Isaiah the prophet, or Yeshayahu Hanavi, predates Jeremiah. Isaiah was active during the reigns of King Uzziah, of Yotam, Achaz, and Hezekiah, or Hiskiyahu, the kings of Judah. And the period of activity in which Isaiah was active is from the middle of the 8th century BCE through the beginning of the 7th century during the high point of the Assyrian threat. So if you remember, the Assyrian Empire destroyed the northern kingdom of Israel as a political entity in 722 BCE. And then the Babylonian Empire ended the political entity of the Kingdom of Judah and destroyed the temple in 586 BCE. So Jeremiah is really at the tail end of the southern kingdom of Judah's independence under the reigns of Zedekiah or Jeconiah, or Jehoiachin, and Zedekiah. And Isaiah is really quite some time before that, even though he has a very long lifespan. There's some scholars, of course, that argue that there's multiple Isaiahs, but that's not really my concern right now. It's just to highlight the fact that the texts themselves represent a very long period of time. So we'll go ahead and jump into the next passage that we're going to look at. And I think I just realized that the last line of it is going to be cut off. So I do apologize for that. I don't know how to fix that. And I think it's going to affect my ability to read that. But in any case, we'll give it a shot. So we are going to start here in Isaiah 49, 1 through 6. And we read, Shimu iyim elai, v'chakshivu le'umim merachok Adonai mibeten, kara'ani mime'e imi hiskir shemi. Ve'yasem pi kecherev chada betzel yado, chech bi'ani, v'asimeni lechetz barur, be'ashpato histirani. And verse 3 is, I think, really the key. Vayomer li avdi ata Yisrael asher becha et pa'ar, ve'ani amarti larik yagati, letohu bechevel kochi, chileti achen mishpati et Adonai, uf ulati et Elohai, ve'ata amar Adonai yotzri mibeten le'eved lo, לשובב יעקב אליו וישראל לא יאסף ve'ekaved be'enai Adonai ve'Elohai chaya uzi. And then the last verse, and again, I apologize, you're not going to be able to see the last line, but this is the line that you can see. Vayomer nakel mi yotcha li eved lehakim et shivte Yaakov un surei. And actually, my ability to read this is a little bit hindered. Yisrael lechashiv unataticha. I think it says le'or goyim lihyot yeshuati ad ketzeh haaretz. And we can look at the translation, which again is going to be cut off. I apologize. Listen, O isles, unto me, hearken, ye peoples from afar. The Lord hath called me from the womb, from the bowels of my mother hath he made my mention of my name. And he hath made my mouth like a sharp sword. In the shadow of his hand hath he hid me. And he hath made me a polished shaft. In his quiver hath he concealed me. And he said unto me, Thou art my servant Israel, in whom I will be glorified. But I said, I have labored in vain, I have spent my strength for naught in vanity, yet surely my right is with the Lord, my recompense with my God. And now saith the Lord, that formed me from the womb to be his servant, to bring Jacob back to him, and that Israel be gathered unto him, for I am honorable in the eyes of the Lord, and my God is become my strength. Yea, he hath said, It is too light a thing that thou shouldest be my servant to raise up the tribes of Jacob, and to restore the offspring of Israel. I will also give thee for a light of the nations, that my salvation may be unto the end of the earth. Again, I apologize for the last two lines of verse 6 being cut off. It's a sizing issue on the screen. And the thing that I wanted to comment basically is if I was just reading this straight from the text, it seems to me that there are multiple entities, obviously, that are involved. In verse 3, Thou art my servant Israel, in whom I will be glorified. I mean, it seems clear that this is a reference to Israel, to the tribes of Jacob. But then in verse 4, there's an immediate switch that seems to reference the prophet Isaiah, because this individual is active in speaking to Israel. And in verse 5, again, the Lord hath formed me. It seems to be that his servant is the one who is engaged with Jacob, with Israel. So whether the servant is Isaiah or not, that's a question that we can pose. Whether or not it's a messianic figure, it's the Mashiach, is a question that we can pose. Or if there's something else here, I think these are legitimate questions. What is clear in the verse 6, is that there is an expansion of the servant's responsibility, not simply to bring Israel back to Hashem, but that the servant, whether he's the prophet or whether he's Mashiach, whoever it is, that there's a universalistic mission implied here. that the knowledge of Hashem is spread among the nations, and whatever the original purpose of the prophet or Mashiach or whoever is the servant, there's this added component that is given to them. And now they have a wider range of responsibilities, which includes, of course, to spread the knowledge of God, salvation to the Goyim, to the nations. So anyways, we will look at future other passages of Yeshayahu, of Isaiah, and we will continue to look at the Hebrew, we'll continue to look at the English, and I'll just provide sort of very basic commentary. My intent is really to separate a lot of the commentary and leave that for the future when we look at other texts and how they interpreted these texts. So we're looking to sort of contextualize each one of these books or passages in their own setting and have a little bit of historical context, and then look at how future generations, future authors, future books look back at these texts and said, well, this is a messianic text, or this is the way that we interpret it, and this is the reason why. And that's one of the reasons, as I mentioned before, that a lot of these passages are included as messianic text in Raphael Patai's book, because the Targumim and other texts as well, looking back at these sources, identify them as messianic in some form or fashion. So if you enjoyed the video, please continue to watch. Please look at past videos, especially the first video. The first video is key to understand what I'm trying to do. And again, if you're interested in Sephardic studies, please feel free to visit my website, cryptojewesheducation.com. It's not really related to this topic of the Messiah, but it is related to Sephardic history, crypto-Jewish studies, and there's also a lot of material that I provide for free, some of the books that I've written. There's different links and so forth that you can access. In any case, we will see you back, and I hope to work on the next video very soon.